Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stochastic.com NBA strategy show presented by, who we presented by today? Bet365? It should be, yeah, because it's the best promo in all of the land. I'll get to that in a minute, but happy to have you guys with us. I'm Dave Loughran at Lofty_D on the Twitters, joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. This guy got up before 8 o'clock today, went and got breakfast and coffee out of the apartment, believe it or not. So he's ready to go. I don't see any bags under the eyes. I see you fresh and ready to talk about a 10-game slate. How we feeling, dude?
Ready for a nap, man.
Yo, a big breakfast will knock you out.
Waking up before 9:30 will knock you out.
Really? See, I don't know. I guess things have changed these days. What time did you go to sleep?
I don't know, 12, 1.
So you got like 7.5 hours. You're golden.
Yeah, it's just still, I don't know, it throws off my routine. It's early.
All right. Should feel accomplished. Anyway, happy to have you guys with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. We try and read and respond to all of them. And you guys know this. We know you're out there. Podcast listeners know there's a bunch of you. Leave a rating, review, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the pod. It goes a long way for us. But yeah, we got a fun slate to talk about. We're almost in April too, man. So you know as well as I do that things are just going to get messier and messier. Like the Dennis Smith Jr. news yesterday. That's just kind of par for the course at this point. It's to be expected. That was dumb. What time was it? Like 7:02 or 7:03 or something?
It was 8.
Oh, I'm sorry. But it was like right after it, the game locked.
It literally, the game locked. Like the game hadn't started, but it locked on DraftKings. It was literally like an 8 o'clock lock. And at 8 o'clock, they said Dennis Smith Jr. out.
Yeah. So yeah, it's insane. And now you've got 10 games. One of them 14-point spread on the road. Sacramento, huge favorites. Everyone for Portland's already ruled out. And now Watford and Cam Reddish are doubtful. So that's going to be enjoyable.
Baseball starts tomorrow.
What?
Baseball starts tomorrow.
Baseball starts tomorrow. All 15 games. Yeah. Detroit 11-point dogs. Houston 11-point dogs. Milwaukee 11-point road favorites. 11.5-point road favorites. And then you got a bunch of situations like Butler didn't go through shoot around, was tagged probable, questionable, then out. So just stay aware of this. Pay attention to everything. And yeah, make sure that you're around throughout the day, or at least for deeper dive and live before lock. So ready to dive into this?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. 10 games, Milwaukee and the Indiana Pacers. We can dive into this one first. So Giannis is probable. Middleton's probable. And then you've got a couple of questionables and an out here. Oh, actually, Joe Ingles is questionable and Crowder. No, let me back up a second. Let me start this off right. Middleton's questionable.
You're crushing this hosting thing this morning.
What?
I said you're crushing this hosting thing so far today. Don't know who our sponsor is. Can't speak on who's on the injury report.
All right, give me a break, dude. Give me a break. I do this a lot. I'm going to recalibrate, and we're going to cruise through this, okay? Chris Middleton's questionable. Giannis is probable. Ingles questionable, and Jay Crowder is out. All right, they're still 11.5-point favorites here. And we expect to see Giannis back after missing that last game. Now, I will throw it over to you so I can reset here. What do you want to do with the Milwaukee Bucks today? Big favorites in a good spot against the Pacers, who are missing Halliburton and might be without Miles Turner.
Yeah, good spot against the Pacers. Clearly going to be happy getting to Giannis. He's pulling around 15% ownership right now, which seems deserved. Nobody else is getting much, assuming Middleton's in for right now. He's at 8,800, which makes him tough to get to. If you want to get to a little bit of Drew Holiday or Brook Lopez, either of them are fine. But if Middleton's in, they're not going to look great. If Middleton's out, it certainly makes a $7,300 Holiday look better. It makes Giannis look a little bit better as well.
All right. Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the Pacers side, where you're talking about a bunch of different spots that could be kind of significantly changing the slate here? If you're just looking at the Pacers right now, you're looking at no Halliburton. We already know that. No Chris Duarte either. But what about if Miles Turner sits here? If he ends up being out, this team has nothing really to play for. Do we go to an Isaiah Jackson at 4,500, center eligible only? But what would Miles Turner's absence do to this team?
Yeah, if he's out, it does open up some potential value. We saw Isaiah Jackson start a couple games ago. We saw Jalen Smith start last game. In both instances, you've gotten pretty close to a 24-24 split. Last game, you didn't get any fourth quarter minutes from Jalen Smith. Smith's going to be the one that looks more appealing because he has power forward eligibility, whereas Jackson is only a center. Both of their salaries have come up a little bit as well, so they're not quite as good of a play as they were, last time and the game before that. But still, if Turner's out, it is going to open up some value there. No Halliburton means that you have a 6K McConnell likely playing upper 20s. He played 28 minutes last game. We've seen that. We've seen around there, off the bench pretty consistently without Halliburton. Mathurin looks fine at 5,600. Wara looks okay at 5,200. Especially if he's in the starting lineup. So there is going to be stuff to like here, and Turner potentially can open up a little bit more.
Yeah, Mathurin had two just dismal games where 4 fantasy points and 9 fantasy points in 24 and 25 minutes respectively. But with Halliburton out, he played 38 minutes last game, which is pretty significant. In the game, they lost by 23 points. What do you think is a reasonable minute projection for someone like Benedict Mathurin today?
I think expecting low 30s makes sense. Playing poorly, you're seeing him get like 28 minutes, but then last game you get 38 and a half when he's playing reasonably well. The minutes are there if he's playing well. I expect low to mid 30s from him, assuming he's starting.
Okay. Looking at the next one up too, you've got Miami and the New York Knicks. We don't have any injury report on Miami because it's their second of a back-to-back, but things could change here. I would think Butler plays. We haven't projected in right now. Tyler Hero is down to $6,500. But again, slow pace game against the Knicks, 223 total. And we still don't necessarily know what this injury report is going to look like for Miami. Just looking throughout this, we have Tyler Hero at 20% today, point guard, shooting guard eligible, mid 6K price point. Once you get past that though, you're not really seeing a ton of options on this team, unless of course Butler's out. Then Hero looks even better, and we can start getting into some of these tertiary options.
Yeah, the Butler news is big. We do know that Kyle Lowry is not expected to play today. That doesn't have a huge impact. You're likely to have Oladipo in the rotation, but not as a viable fantasy option. Strus and Martin maybe play a little bit more, but they don't seem completely necessary on this slate either. They would all look better if Butler is out. But assuming Butler's in, that is a really cheap price tag on Tyler Hero, just given how many minutes he's likely to play. Bam and Butler both, are high upside plays, not getting much ownership because they are pretty much correctly priced if Butler's in. And it's not the most appealing matchup against the Knicks, but Hero at that price tag would certainly stand out with or without Butler, but he'll look better if Butler's out.
All right. So would anybody else be viable? Real quick, if Butler ends up sitting, you discussed it a little bit, but just, for anybody early in the day that didn't pay a whole lot of attention maybe to yesterday's game, maybe some reason they're new to basketball, but Victor Oladipo played the whole first quarter and then almost the entire second, but essentially didn't step on the court in the second or fourth quarter. If Butler's out, what type of playing time are we looking at from Oladipo today?
If Butler's out, you certainly could get more playing time from him because Lowry's not going to be playing either.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason, a big reason that Oladipo started yesterday was because they're trying to limit Lowry's minutes, but they want him in the closing lineup. And so that's why, I thought expecting around 24 minutes or so, 22 to 24 from Oladipo made sense. But if Butler's out today, you're also likely to be missing Lowry. So you could get a closing lineup where, it's like Vincent, Hero, Martin, Strus, Adebayo, and still don't have Oladipo in there. But it's going to be easier for Oladipo to get more minutes with Lowry also being out. So if Butler is out and Oladipo starting, I'm more interested in Oladipo today than I was yesterday.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, because Lowry was on the court essentially for every minute that Oladipo was. They played a few together. Yeah, good call. All right. Weird rotations, though. It's basically you get a quarter, then you get a quarter. But yeah. All right.
Yeah, I got really nervous when Oladipo played 12 first quarter minutes. I was like, shit, is this going to be one of those games where he plays 36 and you're just dead if you don't have him? But
yeah, Lowry didn't enter the game until the second quarter.
Yeah, which that part did make me feel more confident that I was right in Oladipo's minutes. But yeah, when I just saw that he played 12, I was like, oh, this could end really badly.
All right, so similar situation on the other side, just wondering what's going to happen with Jalen Brunson today. He's questionable. Quickly dropped 40-9 in 30 minutes last game in that blowout win against Houston. I mean, that was a remarkable performance. You and I are always talking about how he's getting those massive minutes without Brunson, and they emptied the bench with 6 minutes left in the game. No, I'm sorry. With 4 minutes left in the game. Houston emptied it earlier, but Quickly only played 2 minutes in the fourth because that game was a 33-point lead with like 5 minutes to go. He absolutely dominated in that one.
Yeah, the concern is that they went back to the rotation that they had been using most recently when Brunson was out. So you had Miles McBride play in both halves. You only got 30 minutes from Quickly, lost 4 minutes to garbage time. So that is actually concerning. Obviously, he played really, really well. But if Brunson is out, you have an elevated price tag now on Quickly. And in 3 of the last 4 games, Brunson's been out. You've gotten 31, 34, and 30 minutes from Quickly. You can call it 34 since this one was, a blowout. But we've only gotten that huge 40-minute game from him once in the last 4 when Brunson had been out. So that is concerning to me at that price tag. If you guaranteed me 40 to 42 minutes, clearly he'd still be a pretty strong play. But if he's only going to get around 34, it becomes difficult to pay $7,800 for him. He's more expensive than Jalen Brunson is, which, obviously that's not totally relevant since the only way Quickly is playable is if Brunson is out. But, it's clearly a corrected price point on him now. If Brunson is out and you want to take shots on him in tournaments, fine, but he's nowhere near the same level of priority that he was previously.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because he plays 30 minutes, but this is the game where he's actually massively efficient. And he gets 30 minutes. 14 for 18 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3. Just went nuts. But you're right. That price point, I mean, he's more expensive than Brunson now. So it's crazy. Like, even if Brunson were out, you're playing Quickly and paying more for him than you would for Brunson. What are you looking to do then with the New York Knicks today? Of course, with or without Brunson.
So like if Brunson's in, he looks fine at 7,500, but nothing else looks that good here. If Brunson is out, it does make Barrett, Hart, Grimes all look better. But their price tags have, come up a bit as well, particularly Grimes up to 5,400. But if Brunson's in, I think it's kind of just Brunson, maybe you get to a little bit of Randall or Robinson in tournaments, and then just kind of move on. All
right. Anything else from this game?
Nope.
All right. How about Houston and Brooklyn? Houston double-digit road dogs today. I want to pull up the boom bust tool as well, which we can do right now. But yeah, so Houston double-digit road dogs. Kevin Porter's price is actually coming down. Curious, the playing time here, it's funny. You go, oh, well, he only played 35 last game. This guy got pulled with what? How many? He got pulled with almost 6 minutes left, and he still played 35 minutes. Like, the minutes are still clearly there for this team. Kevin Porter Jr. played 35. KJ Martin played 33, lost 5 minutes and 40 seconds to a blowout. Jalen Green played 35, lost around 6 minutes to a blowout. Şengün played 28 and didn't play the remaining 8 minutes almost of that game. I mean, across the board, and even Jabari Smith played 30 and lost 6 minutes to the blowout as well.
Yeah, it started to sound like a broken record when we talk about Houston because they're at price points where, if Houston gets blown out and they're 10.5-point road dogs, then these guys are all relatively expensive, and they're probably not going to get there. But if this game ends up being competitive for 4 quarters, you're just getting so many minutes from these guys, and they're very reasonably priced for that scenario. And to your point, they did get blown out last game and ended up losing by 22. So you lost like 5.5, 6 minutes of garbage time, and you still got 28 minutes from Şengün, 35 from Porter, 35 from Green. Jabari played 30, Martin played 33. Those guys are all playing upper 30s minutes if this game is competitive to the end. And if you happen to get a 37-minute game from Kevin Porter at 7,400 or Jalen Green at 7K, it's very likely that they end up being good plays. So at low ownership, Şengün also at 6,700. At low ownership, they still look pretty appealing in tournaments given how high the ceiling is based on their playing time.
You know what else is interesting too? Consider this for a second, right? The teams that they have faced recently are the New York Knicks, slow-paced team, right? And it was a blowout. The Cleveland Cavaliers, number 1 defensive rating in the league. And then 2 against Memphis. They're the number 3 defensive, have the number 3 defensive rating in the team. So you've had these 4 matchups, either very slow paced or very tough matchups. And as a result, despite still playing big minutes and even losing some in blowouts, their prices have come down. Like Kevin Porter Jr. was 8,100 just 2 games ago. Jalen Green's 7K now. He was down from 7,300. So the prices are actually dropping despite them playing the minutes. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they just haven't performed all that well in pretty awful matchups over the past week.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point as well.
What do you want to do with Brooklyn then? Bridges coming off that insane game, 44 points last time out. He scored almost half the team's points against Orlando in that loss. But him and Dinwiddie and Claxton, all 3 guys we've spoken about a lot this season since the trade deadline. Any guys that you love here in a good spot against the Rockets as huge favorites?
Yeah, this team's getting quite a bit of ownership, and deservedly so. Similar price points to a lot of their counterparts on the Rockets. And I think it does create a situation where if you want to save some ownership in tournaments, you can just, look to the other side of this game. But Mikal Bridges at 7,600 looks very, very good. He's playing big minutes. He's in a very good matchup against the Rockets. He's pulling 23% ownership. I don't think there's anything really wrong with that. Same goes for Dinwiddie at 7,600. That price tag dropped very quickly. He had been up to like $8,500, $8,600 recently. Now he's back down to 7,600 coming off of a terrible game on Sunday. But, good spot for him. Claxton at 7K, likely giving you around 30 minutes. Very high upside spot for him as well. I think all 3 of those guys look good. They're all pulling double-digit ownership. Cam Johnson at 5,900. I don't have any issues with that either. This looks like a really good team to get to.
Yeah, it's a real nice spot. And nobody's dramatically overpriced either, like mid 7K price points. As far as the center position goes, though, there's always going to be competition, especially for these center eligible guys for who makes the most sense today. It looks like Claxton we still have him as the 5th highest owned center, but mind you, that is a far cry from like he's real far separated from the Drew Eubanks and the Zach Collins today. And then you just have a bunch of players between like 8 and 10%.
Right. And that's why you see that gap in ownership too between Claxton and Dinwiddie and Bridges. Dinwiddie and Bridges both projected for 23 to 24% ownership on DraftKings. Claxton coming in around 11%. And that's just because of opportunity cost and fewer center positions. Those 2 things go hand in hand, but you just can't get as much Claxton as you can those guys because there's just more opportunity cost and other centers that you need to get to as well.
Is it Mateus or Mateus? That's Mateus, right? I don't know. Tell me how to pronounce your name, dude. I always get it wrong. Laffy, did you get that mass text about water shortages where you're at? No, but I do know that there was a chemical spill in the Delaware River in Bristol, and they told everyone. Yeah, they told everyone in Philly not to drink the water. I'm not in Philly, so.
Yeah. Oh, at least they told you not to drink the water as opposed to telling you that it's perfectly fine while like everything living in it is dying.
What are you talking about around you?
No, I'm talking about Ohio.
Oh, well,
which now is around me, I guess.
Well, that's why I mentioned it, because didn't you say they like dumped some of the waste in Baltimore?
They didn't dump it. It's going through a water treatment plant in Baltimore. I didn't read the latest. I know politicians did not want it, but they got overridden. And I know that it's going through like a water treatment plant. They were told that they cannot dump it in our rivers. So I don't know what happens to the water.
Yeah, well,
I assume whatever is supposed to happen to the water is not going to happen to the water, and within the next week or 2, we're gonna have a problem in Baltimore. Is my guess.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, Philly water system now, all that. What a mess. So far, so good. I don't drink. I'm not a tap water drinker. I go and I get like the case of 40 for $4 or whatever. Tastes great, and that's what I do right here, man. A little Cadia water, simple as that. Or you go to Costco and you get like 100 of them for $4. That place is insane. You just run out of places to put shit when you go there. All right. Anything else for Brooklyn?
Nope.
How about Dallas today? 4-point road dogs against the Philadelphia 76ers. Maxi Kleber questionable. Oh, and by the way, Ben Simmons out for the year. Shocking.
Yeah. Crazy development.
Shocking. Yeah. I simply did not see that coming. With the Dallas Mavericks, though, Luka's been trying to put this team on his back. I don't know what to say, though. It just has not looked all that impressive of late. But they had back-to-back losses against the Hornets. the price points here, the ownership here, the boom bust score, looking at optimal and leverage, nothing really jumps off at all with this team right now. Anything you want to do in tournaments with them?
Not really. I mean, obviously, if you get to Kyrie or Luka, that's fine. They're both very high upside plays, but they're both priced pretty much correctly, if not overpriced. I mean, 12K for Luka, obviously from a talent standpoint, he can still pay that off. But with Kyrie in, he's just not a 12K player. Like he should be closer to 11K. So a little bit overpriced there. So outside of just, saying it's always somewhat appealing to get to a completely unknown Luka or Kyrie, there's nothing really here. I would not worry too much about Luka's struggles last game. I didn't watch that game, but based on Twitter, Rick Carlisle was apparently doubling Luka before he even got the ball, basically just making it impossible for him to do anything. So that's why you saw the bigger game from Kyrie and not much from Luka, at least in the first half. Luka had a huge third quarter in that one. But yeah, I'm not concerned about that, but you're still talking about lower rates for Luka with Kyrie in.
Yeah, I wouldn't be particularly concerned about that either, but it's a weird spot. So is the Philly spot because, James Harden went through shoot around. He was expected to play, everyone just largely considered him in, and then he was questionable. Then he was out. I know you had an enjoyable time with Joel Embiid being out against the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I hope he's feeling better now.
Yeah. Yeah. It would almost be wise of him to sit out one more game just to be like, no, see guys, I was injured.
Right. That's the Andre Drummond blueprint is he always sits out the Embiid game and then he sits out for like 2 more weeks just so you can't tell that it was because of Embiid.
I don't think Embiid wanted to miss that game. Just saying.
My favorite part of all of it was I bet Jokic to win MVP when Embiid was ruled out. And my reasoning, I said it to Greg on Twitter, my reasoning was that this should have no impact on anything, but MVP voters are stupid and it's going to matter. And Kendrick Perkins within like 2 hours comes out and is like, I have an MVP vote and this is definitely going to affect my vote.
Yo, he has an MVP vote.
It's insane.
How many MVP votes are there? And who
I have no
are
idea.
they?
I have no idea, but there's not a number high enough that Kendrick Perkins should have one.
If he has an MVP vote, why does it even matter?
Right. Exactly.
As Perkins would say, carry on. That's ridiculous. But yeah, look, I'll tell you what, just throwing this out there. You know how Joel Embiid is, right? If he does play this game and he comes in with that, like, hey, fuck you guys. Like, I was actually banged up, but I'm fine now. He's going to have 100 fantasy points tonight. It's silly narrative, just throwing it out there. Joel Embiid's going to go insane if he's active and not limited tonight.
Yeah, I just hope he's, not afraid of Dwight Powell and Christian Wood.
Who knows? Dude, if Christian Wood's out there against him, Wood just might never play basketball again.
Right. But yeah, I'm with you. Embiid does look good here. Still not getting a lot of ownership just because he's a center and there are other pay up options, but only 11K for him against a Dallas front court that does not have an answer. Obviously, you and I have been talking about this a lot recently. It keeps coming up. They don't have an answer individually and they're not likely to slow him down, but he will see double teams and all of that. But just a soft front court with, Powell's fine, Kleber's fine, Wood is garbage. Good spot for Embiid if you can get to him.
And if Harden sits, I got to say, as good as Maxey has been without him, that price point is exorbitant. Like he's almost 9K now. Yeah,
that's a huge price tag on him. I think even if Embiid and Harden were out, that's kind of a tough ask on Maxey. Assuming Embiid's in, I think it's pretty tough to get there.
I agree. Anything else for Philly?
No, I think it's pretty much it's sort of similar to Dallas on the other side. Like if you can get to some Embiid and some Harden, I do think they look better collectively than Luka and Kyrie, but it's kind of the same thing where like, if you get to them, obviously they are good plays. And then other than that, I have literally nothing.
All right. I don't think we're going to have to spend a ton of time on the Lakers right now. They're 1.5 point favorites against the Chicago Bulls. A couple of things of note here, right? LeBron's questionable. I'd be pretty surprised if he doesn't play in this game. Like they're fighting right now for positioning. They're trying to get in. Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, probable. My guess is everybody plays. Lakers are favored. 225 total. But another thing just to lay out there, Adam, it's not just the fact that like all of these guys are active, which makes all of them pretty unappealing, especially if LeBron's back in the starting lineup. But also the fact that Chicago is playing at the slowest pace in the league since the start of March. They're not just playing slow. It's like a 95 pace, which is crawling right now.
Yeah, just a very difficult team to get to, assuming LeBron is in, and I assume starting. You have Russell probable. I'm with you in assuming that LeBron plays after he played 30 minutes off the bench last game. It just makes it tough to get to any of this. You know, if you want to get to Anthony Davis at 10-6, fine, but I would rather just find $400 for Joel Embiid. Yeah, there's nothing here that I really want, just because they're pretty much still priced somewhat for LeBron to be out. Now you have Russell back as well. So those, you know, guys like Schroeder and Reeves are going to look worse. It's a really tough team to get to.
Our boy Terry McBride with because we're talking about him right now. Yeah, perfect answer. Someone asked him, why ESPN would ever hire Kendrick Perkins. Asked you. They're not in the business of hiring good analysts like that. They haven't been in that business for a very, very long time. No, exactly. First of all, I would be disqualified from ever getting on ESPN just if they tuned into like 5 minutes of any show that I did, right?
I mean, the second they pulled up my Twitter, I'm out.
Exactly. You're disqualified. I'm disqualified for the millions of things that I've said, which really aren't even that bad. But with ESPN, they toe the line on everything. They become just so cookie cutter and boring, and you can't have an opinion outside of like, the only opinion you can have is just really dumb, polarizing sports opinions where everyone goes, man, that's stupid.
Right.
But
yeah.
People still watch.
They went from having a show with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith to a channel of Stephen A. Smith's.
Yeah. And you wonder how much of that is like, news channels too, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all of them, where they went from like a lot of them, and just look at the news. It used to be news. Now it's just, we have to fire people up and get them as pissed off as possible to keep our ratings high.
Right, exactly. Like, people will tune in just so they can argue about what they're saying or tweet, clips of Kendrick Perkins being incredibly stupid. Like,
exactly.
It's better. Like, they're not going to put together a show full of JJ Redicks because he's just going to say things that make sense and people aren't going to talk about it.
Yeah. I was thinking, and I said this to you before, like, what's going to happen to all of these like Twitter handles and news channels once Trump was out of office? And is it any surprise that ratings went down the tube? And then on Twitter, people just got crazier on both sides because now he's not in office. So everything that happens, they just have to get more and more insane and more polarized and further separated from what's actual normal person behavior, because otherwise no one gives a shit what they have to say. Cause there's, you know what I mean? Like there's not the boogeyman anymore. So what are they going to do?
Right. And, I mean, it's reflective in everything. Right? I know I've joked with you, like, once in a blue moon, I'll tweet something that's actually like relevant to DFS or basketball that like I think is useful, and it'll get like barely any interactions. Great and then point. I'll just tweet some stupid thought that I have. And it'll just blow up because people want to tell me I'm dumb or whatever. But like, it's the same thing, just, on a different scale.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying with ESPN. Now they're competing against, Pat McAfee's show and podcasts and like all of these other outlets. What are they going to do? They got to get crazier and crazier. Yeah. Someone said Phil said he hates Stephen A. Smith. I like Stephen. I can't stand Stephen A. Smith. I love Stephen A. Smith, dude. I don't know why. I
like him more than Skip.
Oh, well, Skip's just, I think Stephen A is hilarious. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's fine. I haven't watched him in years, but
yeah, there's something about him. I don't know. Whatever. I can understand why people don't like him, but if you tell me you'd take Skip over Stephen A, you're crazy.
No.
Yeah. Nobody could do that. Thomas, I'm talking, dude, I won't get into it. But I was telling Adam today how people waste their lives away just like blindly following political parties and just like parroting stuff with no original thought. I'm not talking about one side, dude. I'm separated from that shit. I know I'm not wasting my life anymore, Adam. You get it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm saying the only reason I say that is because I don't want chat to devolve into this. Like, this is what I'm talking about both. Everyone's insane. That's it. I think it's a pretty rational take. All right. What about the Chicago? I had to tamp that down before it got a little wild in here. What about
we all know where you really stand.
I think I'm pretty moderate, if we're being completely honest. Like I'm nuanced at least. I have some crazy opinions, but I'm not sure they fall on either side. I think they might.
Yeah, they are just kind of insane in general.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. All right. What do you want to do with the Chicago Bulls today?
I forgot there was a basketball slate. Wait.
What's wrong? Everything okay?
Yeah, no, I'm just dumb. I had pulled up Memphis because they're playing the Clippers, wrong LA team.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there in 3 games.
Yeah. As far as the Bulls go, it's kind of the normal stuff with them. They are a little bit less expensive than usual. Levine, 8,100, shooting guard, small forward, pulling double-digit ownership because of his positional eligibility and the fact that he's only 8,100. Vooch is down to 7,900. DeRozan down to 8,300. So still, all 3 of those guys are pretty much always solid plays. Now they're, a little bit better just because they're cheaper. Outside of that, nothing I'm really interested in. But I do like the Levine play in particular just because you can roster him at the maximum number of positions, and 8,100 is a pretty solid price tag.
Okay. But ultimately, a pretty underwhelming game on both sides.
Yeah, just, 2 healthy teams.
Yeah. 2 healthy teams, low scoring total. There's not a lot and plus some of these price points still aren't fully reflective of LeBron James being back anyway. So There's that. Detroit and OKC. Before we do though, hey, shout out to our sponsor Bet365. I see the numbers. You guys have been getting there in droves because it's the best promo in the world. Legitimately the best promo in the world. You bet $1, you get $365 in bet credits. Think about that for a second. Now, here's the only caveat. Here's the only thing. It's a problem for many of you. It's a gift for some of you. It's only available in Colorado, Virginia, New Jersey, and Ohio. I always want to say Utah, but which is absurd. It's not in Utah. Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, and Virginia. Soon it'll be in PA and Iowa. By the way, dude, Iowa, I was looking at Iowa sports betting numbers. They punch above their weight. That people love betting out there in Iowa. Maybe there's not much else to do, and I don't say that insultingly. Dude, Adam,
I say it insultingly.
$2 billion in money bet in Iowa just last year. It seems like a lot for that state.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there once. I get it.
You've been to Iowa?
Technically, yeah. Stayed at a hotel in Iowa when I went to Omaha for the College World Series. Straight up, like just right on the other side of the border.
What's it like?
Farmland. Yeah. I mean, Omaha's a city.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Des Moines?
I didn't go to Des Moines, no.
No. But yeah, it's $1 in the 365. There's a couple things to this that are massive. One, the playthrough, we talked about this on Monday, I think. The playthrough is only 1x. You only have to play through it one time. Anyone go, okay, so I get my 365 and I can immediately withdraw it. No, they'd be out of business, okay? Bet365 has pioneered a lot of stuff in the betting space. Like apparently live betting started, in-game betting started with Bet365. They've done a bunch of stuff. They're trailblazers. But a lot of these books, you have to play through like 12 times. I'm not even kidding. There's some 20x playthrough bonuses. Here, one time, and you can withdraw. Use the link in the description, okay? Use the link in chat. You click that. It takes a minute to sign up and place a bet, which means essentially you're getting $365 by taking 1 minute of your day, right? Stop tweeting, click the link, get $365. You deposit 10 and you bet only $1 of that. One single dollar, 10% of that 10, put it on whatever you want. You don't have to win the bet. Once the bet settles, $365 in bonus bets. Legitimately the best promo out there, the best promo that's ever going to be out there. And now that they're all live in these states, I don't know how long it lasts for. Consider this, and then we'll move on. If you lose all of that $365 at the end of the day, you are down $1. Your downside is $1 and 1 minute of your time. Legit no-brainer, straight no-brainer across the board. Build it up to 4 or 5 figures. Turn it into. We had someone the other yesterday that was like, yeah, on the Odd Shop show, I turned it into $700 now, and I just did the promo the other day by putting the $1 bet down. So Colorado, Virginia, New Jersey, Ohio, $1 in the 365. Link in the description and in the chat. All right. Tolga, Bet365. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, dude, they know what they're doing. I saw the one of the top guys was like, we have to do it right. He goes, if we mess it up in, what did he say, like Bulgaria or something? I forget what it was. He said, if we mess it up in this, it was like a smaller European country. And he's like, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't affect us. Like if we do it wrong in the United States, we have to do it right in the United States. And apparently they are, because 1 in the 365 is just stupid. Yeah. Kaysen, I killed a plus 1,200 parlay on those bonus bets last night. Yeah, dude, yeah, it's simple. Anyway, must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Bang, bang. All right, Detroit and OKC. We'll kick it off on the Detroit side today. It's the same thing as usual, Adam. They're 11-point dogs. That's, common. 232 total. OKC on the second of a back-to-back. But Bojan Bogdanovic, Rodney McGruder, Isaiah Stewart, Alec Burks, Amadou Diallo, all of those guys out once again for Detroit. Anyone you want to get a lot of today for the Pistons?
Not really. Jalen Duren at 5,100 looks fine. Killian Hayes at 6,600 looks okay. Jaden Ivey certainly gives you a high ceiling, but this team is mostly healthy, especially compared to, where they were recently, and prices have adjusted a bit. So I don't think there's any real priorities, but you do have, relatively inexpensive price tags on Duren. Hayes and Ivey both give you a nice ceiling.
On OKC, I assumed at first that you might have just seen SGA ruled out because maybe it's a back-to-back, and maybe they do decide that they want to keep him out on a back-to-back here. But now I'm saying like it was the ankle that he banged up a couple games ago, finished the game, but we've seen how those swell up and players miss a couple of games. Matter of fact, we saw it just the other week. You and I were talking. I forget exactly what player it was. Oh, it was Kuzma. Kuzma came back in a game on a Saturday after spraining his ankle, and now he hasn't played in 2 weeks. So I don't know. Maybe SGA plays, maybe he doesn't. We currently haven't projected in. I think that's right, but this could turn into another Josh Giddey game, who came an assist shy of a triple-double yesterday in that win against Charlotte. Yeah, massive game from him yesterday. Or lost to Charlotte. Sorry. Oh, damn. I didn't realize they ended up losing that game. I had looked in the fourth quarter and they were winning. That's not good for my Washington went nuts. Yeah, that's not good for my 800-1 OKC bet. Did you see what Washington did? I see now that he had 43 points. Yeah, went insane. Sorry, go ahead. I knew Mikhailuk had a big game too. Yeah, so if SGA is back, you can certainly play SGA. You can still get to Giddey or Jalen Williams in tournaments, but they certainly look worse. If SGA is out, 8,500 for Giddey is more reasonable. Jalen Williams at 7,200 looks better. He's been about a 1.25 fantasy point per minute guy without SGA this year. He's around a fantasy point per minute over the last couple of months when SGA plays. So the SGA status does matter quite a bit. If he's in, I don't think there's anything you're prioritizing from this team. You're just kind of taking shots at those guys in tournaments. If he's out, it certainly makes Giddey and Williams look better. Dort looks better also, but his price tag came up quite a bit to 6K. Right now, favorite play from this game? Duren, I guess. Yeah. I do want to, I didn't mention it with Detroit, but it is interesting to me that Duren's getting 16% ownership and Wiseman for $500 more is getting none. You're going to get like a 48-minute split from those guys. We saw more Duren last game, but it's not always going to be that way. So I do think that's kind of interesting. And we did also get 36 minutes last game from Marvin Bagley. He's 6,800, so relatively expensive price tag. But if he plays 36 minutes again, it certainly can pay that off. And if SGA's out, I mean, Jalen Williams, I know you mentioned it, but he's playing really well right now. Like that guy playing big minutes, playing spectacularly, shooting extremely efficiently, but still, another 30-point game yesterday, 31 points. You got Detroit tonight. What would you do with him if SGA is out today? Are you cool with a low 7K price on Jalen Williams? Yeah, as a contrarian tournament play, it's fine. He's just gotten better as the season's gone on. That's also coincided with more playing time. Overall this season in games where SGA and Giddey have been in, he's around like 0.85, 0.9 fantasy points per minute. Over the last couple of months, he's up to about a fantasy point per minute and like 33 or so minutes per game. So at 7,200, like there is still a path to him having a big game, but I certainly would like him quite a bit more if SGA is out. All right, let's talk about the Clippers and Memphis. By the way, hit that thumbs up. We have been doing so well. I mean, we have been doing so well since last week. It appears as though we've taken a turn for the worst lately. 77 likes, 23 away from 100, over 400 people watching with us. I know there's 21 people out there that can get us north of that mark and make things right here on a Wednesday morning. Maybe it's because they haven't been reminded to atone for their sins and bow down before the YouTube overlords. All of that stuff goes a long way. Appreciate you guys. Do you think Norman Powell plays today? He's questionable.
I have no idea.
I don't either.
That is not something that I'd given thought to in the 3 hours I've been awake yet.
He hasn't played in a month. So but this is the first time he's actually been questionable. So I only asked too, because he's 15% right now. This is such a weird spot though, because he's been out for literally almost a month. If he does end up playing, he is cheap, and he has shooting guard, small forward eligibility. But it's like, even if he does play, is he not just potentially limited coming back from a 1 month hiatus?
Yeah, I think you see that ownership and optimal percentage come down once we sort of fine tune projections. I would expect him to be somewhat limited. He's also, still playing with Kawhi. The minutes are available if he's just good to go, but I'm not really expecting that to be the case. So yeah, he's cheap. If he plays 24 minutes, he could certainly still get there. But I do think that ownership comes down a bit.
What about Westbrook or Kawhi today? Of course, Paul George still sidelined.
Yeah, they're both decent contrarian tournament plays. You got 33 minutes again last game from Westbrook. Would have probably played more had that game been more competitive. It ended up only being a 12-point win for the Clippers, but pretty misleading because the Bulls went on a 17-7 run to close the game and cut it to 12. You had essentially the Clippers bring in their bench with 5 minutes to go. So you're still seeing big minutes from Westbrook with George out. We know Kawhi is going to play big minutes and see increased production, but their price tags have adjusted somewhat as well. 10K for Kawhi, 77 for Westbrook. They're both pulling 5 to 10% ownership, which is probably about where they should be. I do think they are the most appealing guys from that team. Yeah,
because with Marcus Morris still out, I know Batum played 31 minutes last game. Yeah. He was great, but he's 5,100 now. That's a scary price point on Nicholas Batum, who's not exactly the preeminent fantasy point per minute guy in the league.
Yeah, it's if you could guarantee he's going to do what he did last game, then obviously he's a good play at 5,100, but he's not typically that level of fantasy producer.
Or those minutes.
Right, yeah, or those minutes. He's not locked into, mid-30s minutes. He got 31 last game, lost some to garbage time, but there's no guarantee he gets that again either. So not a spot where I'm really expecting a repeat performance.
Josh will be back today, so that's good. Rested that front end of a back-to-back. Jaren Jackson Jr. was off to a hot start, and then in typical.
I thought you said Josh will be back today, and then started talking about Jaren Jackson. So I thought you were about to get into the show schedule, and then you just threw in Jaren Jackson like Josh was a member of the Grizzlies or something.
Ja Morant.
Josh will also be back today.
He is. He did the process show. Welcome back, fella. Ja Morant back. Jaren Jackson was great until he started getting again, fouled out. Yeah, that was fun. I had the over on PRA there. Looked fantastic. He had 16 in the first quarter, 22 PRA at halftime. And then the beast came out, but not the good one. Anyway, he's very expensive with Ja back. Ja 9K though, kind of interesting here. You look at the last game that Morant played, I was on the over PRA there, and we got there just barely, but we got there. He played what? Only 29 minutes. I thought he would play more. Probably gets up north of 30 today if this game's competitive, but he's been efficient since returning. It's just we haven't seen the minutes yet, even in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I like Ja quite a bit here at 9K. Like you said, he played just shy of 30 minutes last game. If I remember correctly, they had said coming in that he was going to be limited to around 28. I always like it. It makes me feel a little bit better when you get those around X minute, quotes, and then they exceed it, even if it's slightly. At least I like that quite a bit more. It makes me feel a lot better about his playing time today than if it had been he's going to play around 28, and then they played him 25 or 26. I expect him to get 30 to 32, and that's not really different than what he averages. He averages 33 minutes per game this year, and typically he's around $10,000. So you're getting a nice discount on him at 9K. Like getting to him quite a bit because again, I expect him to play at least as many minutes as he did last game.
Me too. It thins out pretty quick though after that, wouldn't you say, given that so many of these price points are representative of John Morant not being in?
Yeah, pretty much. Desmond Bane's salary is up to 8,400. I mentioned it yesterday, but Bane's actually been a better point per minute guy with Morant than without him this year. But still, at that price tag, it's going to be really difficult to get to. Jaren Jackson's expensive. You're still getting those backup center minutes from him, which are very productive, but he's also expensive. Morant's really the guy that I expect to get to here.
Okay. We got 3 more to go. Utah and San Antonio is next. Appreciate you guys getting us north of 100. Big stuff there. Appreciate it. Much love. Utah. Lauren Marketing, questionable. Still 5-point favorites against that Spurs team that's going to be without, another litany of players today. No Rudy Gay. Well, sorry, that's for Utah. No Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, but Clarkson's still out. Colin Sexton's out. Rudy Gay's out. Marketing's questionable. I'll tell you, though, you look at the usage on Marketing lately. I can't help but wonder in this spot how popular of a play he's going to be today if he is active. I know there's a lot of competition for, there's going to be a lot of ways to go expensive today, but this dude's gotten up 20 plus field goal attempts now in like 8 straight games. He's getting to the line, quality rebounding despite playing alongside Walker Kessler. The only question now is is that hand affecting his shot? Because he still got up 22 shots last game, but only made 6 of them, shot 27% from the field. 11 for 12 from the charity stripe, though. I don't know. The usage and production without Clarkson, without Sexton, without all of these guys today for Markkanen, he could have a monster game against the Spurs.
Oh, yeah. Great matchup. Obviously, very good player. Should not have minutes concerns as long as he's able to play. And like you said, the usage has been massive recently. 10 total games now this year with no Jordan Clarkson, 1.31 DraftKings points per minute, 31.5% usage rate in 35 minutes per game. Since the start of March, using StatMuse usage rates, going by game, 35.5%, 26%, 33%, 28, 34.5, 30, 39, and 34%. Wow. Just getting up tons of shots, playing big minutes in a great matchup against the Spurs. I like Markkanen quite a bit as long as he's able to go.
Me too, man. Me too. I would think he is, unless he aggravated something, because he did return last game.
Yeah, and played 36 minutes.
Yeah, he just shot like shit, but made
still
almost
scored 25 points too.
I know. Yeah, he was 11 for 12 from the free throw line. Yeah, we'll see. I'm looking to see if there's any props on him yet. I don't see any points props yet. No. Nope. Be interesting to see if they pop up later in the day. They should. We should get some news. What do you do outside of Markkanen?
So he's the only guy that really stands out as a priority, but I think if you get to any of the, if you get to like Kessler, Horton Tucker, Olynyk, they're all reasonable low-owned plays in tournaments just because the Spurs are such a good matchup. Walker Kessler only pulling 2.5% ownership at 7,300. We have, centers that are bigger priorities, but we know what a good game from Kessler looks like, and it destroys this price tag. So I think that's, an interesting way to be contrarian. Same can be said for Horton Tucker, who played well over 30 minutes last game for what feels like the first time in a while, but he's shooting guard small forward eligible at 6,900. We know that Olynyk has a high ceiling, but his price tags come up as well. So Markkanen is the only one again that I think stands out, but Kessler, Horton Tucker, Olynyk, all pretty solid contrarian plays, I think.
On the other side, Zach Collins, one of the most popular players on the slate today. Like I said, no Keldon Johnson, no Devin Vassell, no Jeremy Sohan. So that'll open up a little bit here. Devontae Graham getting a little bit of love. Trey Jones as well. But Zach Collins right now is the one that's pulling a ton of ownership on this team against the Utah Jazz. 22% optimal score. So negative leverage. But how do we approach a guy like Zach Collins at a pretty deep center position?
Yeah, I mean, he clearly looks like one of the best center plays. You're expecting 30 plus minutes from him. This game only has a 5.5 point spread. Utah as a whole isn't very good defensively and is just a good DFS matchup. Walker Kessler individually obviously is a very good defender, but you also just see increased production from Collins when these guys are out. So it's another one of these center spots where he's going over owned, and that is more notable when you're talking about the center position, just because, if you have Zach Collins in your lineup, it means that you can't have, 2 other centers. So like if any 2 centers on the slate go nuts, not named Zach Collins, you can't win if you have Zach Collins, basically. So unless he also, goes nuts. So him going over owned is a little bit more of an issue, I think, than when you talk about, guards or forwards, but still clearly a very, very strong option. Trey Jones at 5,700 looks pretty good. Devontae Graham at 4,400 looks pretty good. It's a relatively appealing team to get to, those three guys in particular.
Favorite plays from this game then? Collins and Markkanen.
Collins and Markkanen.
Yeah, gotta be, right? And I don't know if let me one more thing, because I'm looking out for you guys. Want to ask the right questions here. I know it's early, things will change, but if Fontecchio is out and Markkanen is out as well, if both of them sit, then do we have to start looking at maybe paying a little bit more than we're comfortable with on some of these guys that were, $3,000 a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Agbaji in that situation would likely play huge minutes. I don't know who would start in place of Markkanen. I don't know if they go with Toscano Anderson. I don't know if they go with Juzang. I don't know if they just suck it up and go with Chris Dunn alongside Horton Tucker. I don't know what they would do if Markkanen's out, but it would get a new body in the starting lineup. It would also make, Horton Tucker look better, Dunn look better if Markkanen's out.
All right. Minnesota and Phoenix. The Timberwolves, 5.5-point dogs here. I am, there you go. Sorry, I just saw chat. I jumped on the Karl Anthony Towns over 28.5 PRA today at like 7 a.m. I threw that in the chalkboard. It's up to 30.5. So we'll get some closing line value there. And if you guys aren't on our chalkboard yet, what are you waiting for, man? You guys already know it. We're going to hit 1,000 by the end of the week. And we just started this thing up. Like, we're building the community. The app is free. It's in chat. Jacob, if you can find that, throw it in it's in the description. If you can find that, throw it in chat too. The app is free and everything on there is free. Greg's on a heater right now too. And he throws all his picks in there. He's on a heater right now. Yeah, big time. So you get all of our picks. Josh is back. You're getting all Josh's Prize Picks cards that you might not find in the videos. Any stuff that happens throughout the day, any stuff we find on the Odd Shopper tool and the Bet Pro tool, throwing it in there, giving away 3 months of all of that stuff, and building a great community. Surprisingly, a supportive one. Likely, as Adam pointed out, because he's not in there. So yes, it's free. We'd love to have you guys join. Help us climb that hill. Make the final march to 1,000 members. We just kicked this off, and it's been awesome to see it grow. And to all of you who are already in there, I know we've had a blast. Appreciate you being in there and helping us build this up from the ground floor. But it'll always be free, just so you know. Everything will always be free. It's not like you have to. It's not like a week later, a month later, it's go, oh, you got pet. No, if the app is free, it's free. You can sync your sports books up. All the box scores are already built into the app. It's pretty sweet. So come join us. We'll get there. 1K, build a great community, win some money, and commiserate together when we lose, because it happens no matter where you are. All right. Minnesota, Edwards, Towns, probable. I expect both of them to play, of course. Prince, Jalen Noel are both questionable. But now that we expect to see everybody from Minnesota active today, are there any spots that we might be able to exploit just because salaries are kind of low, like Karl Anthony Towns tournament maybe, if he ends up playing? He played 32 minutes last game. He's $8,000. I don't know. Anything you like there for GPPs?
I like the Gobert price tag at 7,400, just kind of like Walker Kessler, not pulling any ownership. You're getting so much going to Collins. You're getting more going to Claxton in that price range. And I get why, but Gobert certainly can just go nuts at that salary. Towns or Edwards, both reasonable as well. We've seen Reed play more minutes alongside Gobert, but he doesn't have his power forward eligibility anymore, so he's still pretty tough to get to. But Gobert would be, I think, my favorite of the three.
Okay. Yeah. Man, it's just if Towns comes in and ends up playing 36 minutes in a close game.
Yeah, and I mean, he does have power forward eligibility as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to take that back. Towns is my favorite, followed by Gobert, but I do like both of them as just basically unowned tournament plays.
Right. I was going to say nobody's a priority here whatsoever. It's just one of those weird price points, because you would think that, what do you think Towns' price point would be? And I'm not asking you for exact, just like ballpark. What do you think Towns' price point would be if, he was just, there were no uncertainties around him and he was playing his regular minutes like he was earlier in the season?
$9K, 9,500.
Okay. So yeah, it's just a question of whether or not he gets the playing time.
Right.
On the other side too, you got Phoenix, but we expect to see Kevin Durant back in the rotation today. So you're talking about essentially a 10K Booker, Ayton and Paul. I think those price points are fine, but there's nobody that's going to stand out once Kevin Durant is reintroduced to this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, you still get the massive ceiling from Booker. Like, he was going nuts even when Durant was in, but he's also priced up. The big negative we saw with Durant in previously was that DeAndre Ayton's usage went through the floor to a point where I don't think it can stay as low as it was. It was down around like 12.5%, 13%, but it does make me hesitant to get to him at 7,100. He's not pulling any ownership, but I think I would get to like Gobert and Kessler before I get to Ayton. Paul's still reasonably priced, but yeah, Durant being back just makes this team as a whole look less appealing.
It does. So maybe some tournament spots from both sides of this game, but aside from that, not a whole lot that jumps off the page. We'll wrap it up with the Sacramento Kings and the Portland Trailblazers. And for those of you that haven't heard this recently, with MLB coming back, we have the MLB is back promo, which means that whether you're a new user or you're someone that took a break, but you're looking for some re-entry points, well, here it is, 50% off Stochastic Plus Platinum, not just baseball, every single sport. Baseball starts tomorrow. This only runs through the 2nd. So if you do it today, you're getting 50% off everything. All of our tools, Boom Bust tool, the Top Stacks and Top Pitchers tool are two of the greatest tools out there when it comes to baseball tools. Boom Bust tool for every sport, projections, ownership projections, all of our projected stats and data, all the top stack tools, the lineup builder, the lineup generator. If you want to get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, you can do that as well. 50% off, okay? 50% off everything. Basketball, baseball, hockey, MMA, PGA, NASCAR, XFL, college sports, like you name it. And anything I'm missing, tennis, like we got them all. No better time. If you've been on the fence, you go, okay, other than the NFL, I got like every sport at my disposal. And I don't really have to know them well because I got all the tools. 50% off. Use the link in the description or in chat. You got any questions? My DMs are open. I'm happy to help you out. But yeah, it's a sick ass deal right now. 50% off. And usually it's just for new users. But if you're someone that's trying to come back into the fold, been sitting on the sidelines, here you go. You got the 50% off as well. All right, let's wrap this one up with the Kings against the Blazers, 14-point road favorites. It is a phenomenal spot. Now the question is just like huge favorites. Everyone's healthy, as this team always is. What do you do with the Kings, a healthy Kings team against a legitimate, just basement Portland team with none of their starters?
Yeah, 13.5-point road favorites for Sacramento.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox looks very good at 8,200. He's the one that I think really stands out. Sabonis is good as well, but the problem with him is, he's basically the same price point as Davis. He's very close in salary to Joel Embiid, and he's center only, so on DraftKings at least. So it just makes him, a little bit more difficult to get to, but certainly at 2.5% ownership against this Portland team makes for an appealing tournament play. But Fox, I think, is going to be the easiest guy to get to here at 8,200. That's just a really cheap price tag for him in a very good matchup.
It is. And then Sabonis, just no ownership here. Who knows? Maybe he triple doubles in 3 quarters against this team, but
right.
It's hard to say. Anything else for Sacramento? We're going to wrap it up with the Blazers.
Yeah, nothing else really. I mean, if you happen to land on one of those wings and lineups here and there, it's fine. Like, obviously it's a good matchup, but nothing really stands out to me from them in terms of pricing other than De'Aaron Fox.
Phil, does Stochastic have MLB videos up for tomorrow? I don't know if we have anything up for tomorrow. I know we'll have a lot up tomorrow for sure. And 57 Ski. I'm new here, but just want to thank the show. $1,700 win last night. Shout out to you guys and Curry. Awesome, man. Congrats.
Yeah, we do have. So I don't know what we have up right now, but we do have MLB from 12 p.m. until 1:15 tomorrow with Alex and Neil.
Oh, nice. You got the boss man on?
We do.
Okay. All right. 2 guys who have won a lot of money in tournaments. Check it out. 12-1 is live before lock. Okay.
12 to 1:15.
Nice. Okay. Hour 15 show should be good. There you go. You can watch the strategy show, then take a little NBA, then take a little break and come back for some baseball action. Huge slate to kick off the season. All right. Courtney, where's the link for 50% off everything? I only saw the MLB one. Hold on. No. If it's the MLB is back promo, Courtney, that's everything. It's just, this is kind of like, hey, MLB is back. Oh yeah, well, I don't know why that says MLB Platinum. That shouldn't. I see what you're saying. Hold on. It should. Let me figure it out for you. That's probably the right one. Let me click here and just make sure for you. It doesn't. Okay. No, this is the MLB is back one. This is everything. That has to be changed in the description. I'll get that changed. This is everything, Courtney. And if it's not, and for some reason that's wrong, tell them I told you it was and get a refund. I'll help you with that. But this is everything. All right. So it's the MLB 50% off MLB Platinum. I don't know why it says that. That's the MLB is back. Every tool on the site. What about Portland, man? Here's a fun one. Not only are you without Jeremy Grant, Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Yusuf Nurkic today, but you're also going to be without, very likely, Trendon Watford and now Cam Reddish.
Yeah, just dumpster fire of a team. Tons and tons of ownership coming in here. It's a good spot against Sacramento. You have a wildly shorthanded team. Nas Little's up to 5,100. He was one of the most popular plays the other night. Only played 20 minutes. Didn't play much in the second half of a massive blowout. But 5,100, still don't mind getting to him. Kevin Knox at 4,200 should play a good amount. He should be helped by Reddish being out as well. We got 32 minutes from him last game. He played a bunch in the first half of that one also. Keon Johnson should play a lot. He got up to 31 minutes there. And again, assuming Reddish is out, that opens up more minutes for Johnson. Drew Eubanks is still somehow only $4,700. He should play a good amount, assuming this game's relatively close. There's just tons to get to from this team. And you're not really going to feel good about it because most of these guys suck, but also they need to play a full game of basketball and they're relatively inexpensive.
At this point, how many on a 10-game slate Blazers are you comfortable having in a lineup?
3 or 4.
Okay. Keon Johnson, Eubanks, Knox, Nasir Little, 14-point favorites. But hey, it is the Kings.
Yeah.
Could be worse. Appreciate you guys hanging out as always. We got a lot coming up throughout the day, so stick around. You've got NBA Deeper Dive live before lock. You got the Odds Shop. Ben and I had a fantastic time yesterday doing that one. That's 4 o'clock on the Odds Shopper channel. Come show those boys some love today if you haven't done so yet before you get over to the Deeper Dive. The Underdog NBA show, if you're looking to get some underdog action, maybe you're not in the legal betting state, can't take advantage of Bet365, you got that at 1:30 today with me and Neil. Just a whole lot going on. So check out the schedule, check it all out. Appreciate you hanging as always, and we'll catch you back here next time. Peace.